Actors, you made it. Welcome to Screen Acting School. Grab yourself a coffee or whatever your vice is. Open up your heart and get ready. But remember, this isn't a TV show, it's a class, and it's not free. You're paying by showing up and doing the work. So we are so excited to see you all subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you. We adore you. If you haven't yet, hit that button. Make sure you don't miss a beat because magic is waiting.
It sure is. And Lindsay, I just wanted to mention to you, we will set up your meeting sometime this week, okay? We can't wait to meet with you. Lindsay won a free class with us,
Free
a
coaching with us.
free
We're
coaching with us. Yeah,
so
so we can't wait.
excited. It's been a little bit of a hectic week, Lindsay, with this in-person workshop, but we're back in the office, back in biz, so we'll set that all up for you this week.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
it's going to be good. So should we get into the good stuff? Speaking of good stuff,
I think
this
so.
week's lesson is about fear, the actor's silent block. So fear is a huge barrier for a lot of actors. In fact, I would say for a lot of people, but for actors in particular, because the stakes are so high, fear can be enormous. So people say they have a fear of success or a fear of failure. But what do we say? What do we say? What do we say? We're against it. We want to unpack that fear. We want to say, what is fear of success? Is it the fear of what will happen if I succeed or if I'm successful? Because what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
People are going to shit talk you.
Yeah, they're gonna know your name. Your life's gonna change. Maybe people that you're friends with now are going to react to you differently, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is a real fear for a lot of people.
It is. And if anybody wants to jump in here, we actually want to know what would be scary for you in terms of success, like losing friends, having to make new friends, doing a, having to be responsible for more of your life and career, having to do all of the promo for things, the pressure, relocating away from your family.
Virginia,
Yeah.
I think you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I figured it'd be easier to say. I feel like one of my biggest fears would be I have difficulty with the boundaries in my family. And like even at the point I am now, I have people asking me to do things or say things or participate in things I don't want to. So
Mhm.
it would just extend a lot more.
100%. And
It
that's a
will.
legitimate fear, right? Absolutely. Because a lot of times people don't, when they think of fear, they think of failure automatically. But success can be just as much of a fear. 100%, Virginia. And I bet you a lot of people would agree with that. Mel's saying friends resenting my success when they're struggling. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm putting distance between us. Totally, right? This is, yeah, having haters, says Jewel. Linda says change the status quo is comfortable and familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Having haters is tough. Having haters is tough. It builds something in you, though. You become pretty strong from having haters because you have to decide I am who I am, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree. And what about fear of failure too? Right? That can be the fear of what happens if I fail or am I a failure? If I don't succeed, right? That sort of thing. Do you have any fears around that? We would love to hear them.
A lot of people have the fear that people will know I did this and they know that I failed.
Oh, Mel said around success, the fear that if I'm a success, I have to keep being a success. Yeah, you've got to keep on the top of that. I was going to say on
Mhm.
top of the horse. Is that even a saying? But
It's not a saying, but we'll let you make it up.
it
You
is
have
now.
to stay on the horse. You have to get on another horse. You have to keep, really, the metaphor is you have to keep climbing the mountain, and it doesn't get easier. The air up there is harder to breathe. So you need to keep making yourself better and better.
Yeah. Kara saying the fear of being known. Yeah, maybe that fear of not just being able to walk outside your house and go to I know where Kara lives. I've been to her place. So maybe the fear of not just being able to walk outside and go to that grocery store or that area that you enjoy, right? That can change things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So
it can.
that's a trade-off. If you consider that a part of the price you pay. But there are a lot of people who are successful who continue to live active lives. And
Mhm.
another thing that's part of the fear of success is you exist in different venues. So you may not be able to go to McDonald's. You might have to go to restaurants where there are other people who are experiencing success the same way you are, so they don't freak out when they see you.
Yeah.
You know?
Guess what? You can order McDonald's on Skip the Dishes. I do it all the time.
Carrie, you have a question?
Yeah, just even on the fear of being known, it also happens at all levels too. I mean, as an like I think a lot of us here often, we grew up feeling like weird or different and that we needed to conform and like we didn't want anyone to know how weird we were. And, like being famous would just magnify that. Like the whole world would know that you're a weirdo or a freak or
Yeah.
you've got these quirks or that you're like maybe neurodivergent or something like that. So when you're like most actors, we come from the outsider archetype,
Active.
not always but a lot of the time, and so we've often been trying to conform, and so then this feeling just even in your work at the lower levels of they're going to know this thing about me, or they're going to know who I am, or that I'm weird or different. And then, the being famous would just magnify that of everyone's going to be like knowing
Yeah.
you, and you're not going to have any privacy anymore to, right, to hide.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, becoming famous makes hiding really difficult.
Yeah.
Really, really difficult.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, Kara, that you're acknowledging here. It's a real thing. It's hard. I see you making a face, Kara. Are you concerned because you're in the star? You're in the star lineup here?
No, I was confused because Richard's like talking about Viking makeup, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
Oh, Viking makeup? I'm assuming, Richard, you're talking about your DNA. No? Well, I like the idea of being a Viking, like just going out and doing it. I don't like the idea of raping and pillaging, but I do like the idea of, setting sail and doing what it is that you want to do.
Mhm. But what Kara said is a real fear, and I think a lot of people feel that, right? And that's why it's a lot of times it's not even the failure, it's the success that can be so scary, right? What I
Mhm.
will say is remember, and not even remember, look at the people that you admire. It's the quirks that you love. It's the things
Mhm.
that make them unique, that make them stand out. That's what makes them stars. The things that you're talking about, maybe being a little different or whatever that is, that's what I love in each and every single one of you. That's
Yeah.
what draws me to you, and that is what will draw people to you. Because as scary as it is, as much as it's like, oh, this is so scary for the world to know, there are a whole bunch of other people out there just like that, feeling that insecurity and getting to see that in a star just makes you shine. It just makes them love you. And that doesn't make it easier. Me telling you that, it doesn't. It's still a real fear. But know that that's what makes us love you. Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah. So Beth was saying, I don't need everyone knowing what I have for breakfast. You don't.
Hmm.
However, if they did, what would happen?
Hmm.
You'd still eat. If you it's you're not going to die, and if even if you do die, they're not going to eat you. It's it's very unlikely. So if the worst thing is people know what you're having for breakfast, or people know what you're having for lunch, or people know who you dated, people
Hmm.
talk shit anyway. It's just not in a on a podcast.
Yeah. Brian saying you could help that company sell more breakfast. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
could open a breakfast company.
And Allie said, you know what, success, I'm worried about the peace being compromised. I value my peace and being left alone, and I'm not sure I could take the paparazzi all day, every day. I love that you said that, Ellie, because there are a lot of extremely successful actors who you don't see in the paparazzi every day. And that's not by accident. That's a plan. That's where they choose to live. That's how they choose to, compose themselves during the day. So you can have that. I'm not saying people aren't going to take your picture or, you know what, you're not going to have red carpet events. But if you come up with a plan, and we're going to talk about planning a little bit as we continue on with this lesson, you can put that into your plan, right?
Mhm.
That you can live the life that you want to live because that's what it's all about. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of people call paparazzi. Like a lot of that is orchestrated.
Mhm.
So, you can get out. And there are cities to live in that are much easier to live in. Like
Mhm.
Calgary doesn't have a huge paparazzi component, or there's you can make, like Donna-Marie saying, it can be part of the plan. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're gonna have to plan that on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So success can be scary. Failure can be scary, right? These are all fears.
Absolutely. And the core tenet of success, two core tenets of success, are fear and failure,
Mhm.
because you are always scared when you're trying to do something new. It's
Yeah.
always scary. It's never comfortable. You're never like, oh my God, this is so, like first time you try skiing, you strap those skis on and you're like, this is comfortable. I feel really at ease. No, it's scary. It's uncomfortable. And failure happens. You're gonna fall down right away, but then you get back up.
Yeah.
So
And
fear and success, you gotta get fear and failure, you have to get them to get success.
yeah. And I think just being mindful of that and knowing stepping into it that, you know what? There's going to be a bit of fear here, but I can work through that. I can succeed. Virginia, you and I had a conversation this weekend. And would it be okay if I shared that about a little bit of the fear that you
She's on the spot now. She's like, oh.
Well, I just thought it was so profound and so beautiful because we were at an event after the workshop. We had a dinner for those of you that were there, we had some really great special guests, and it was a packed room, you guys. It was buzzing. It was a ton of fun. And I spoke with Virginia, and Virginia said to me, you know what? Like, I have a bit of a fear of being in crowds. Like, I don't like that. You know what I mean? It's not my thing. But Virginia went there anyways. Virginia overcame that fear. She took steps. So she said to me, sometimes I step back, I take a few pictures so I can have a moment to myself to kind of breathe, be out of the crowd. But she came up with a plan that helped her work through that. So she was able to be at that incredible weekend, be at that incredible dinner, rub shoulders with, you know what, the execs, the producers, the casting directors, the agents, and no, she was so mindful of herself that she could say, okay, sometimes I need to step back. This will make me feel comfortable. I can take some pictures. I can do my own thing. I can take a moment for myself to breathe. And I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was extremely intelligent. And
Uh-oh.
you overcame that fear. Yeah, absolutely. And I saw, I don't know if you were typing, I didn't even drink to cope. Yeah, good for you, Virginia.
Yay, yay.
Wonderful.
You know what? If you don't have a
Announcements.
plan, stumble through making one,
Mhm.
and then stumble through creating it, and then stumble through executing it. And eventually you're going to stumble into success,
Yeah,
just one step at a time.
yeah. And that's exactly what Virginia did, right? Was that successful for you, Virginia, this weekend?
Yeah.
Go ahead and unmute.
It's so funny. I hate crowds and large groups of people, and I did okay at the workshop. So I thought, I think I'm going to be okay tonight. But when it was twice as many people as were at the workshop in half the size space.
Mhm.
And I was I made the plan when I saw the door. There were two doors and then they closed one of them. And so, okay, I got one door and it said it was an emergency exit, but everyone was using it. So I assumed it was okay. So I was like, okay, that's just my little back and forth through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's being mindful. That's literally visualizing that on the spot in the moment.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? How am I going to make myself comfortable? How am I going to make myself succeed in this situation? And you were extremely successful.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just beautiful.
And
It's
sorry.
I was gonna say because I get more nervous and more nervous, and then I was like holding out talking to the people I wanted to talk to till the very end when I'm like at my peak nervousness. And like Monica and I are best friends now.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's so true. Anything that's a barrier can drive a skill. So
Yeah.
you developed a skill from that. It's an obstacle. You overcame the obstacle, and that built the confidence. And
Yeah.
that's a skill for success. And now you can just do that over and over again and be aware of yourself and what you need to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Daniel said, I tend to feel the exact same way, Virginia. That balcony was awesome to take a little moment to breathe. I like to try and find a safe space at any event I go to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
having that plan, right? Knowing, okay, this is who I am. This is how I work. Let me plan for that, right? And that can help you overcome those fears. It's so, so huge. And a lot of times, guys, Kara talked about this earlier, when we're talking about fears, fear of people knowing who we actually are, maybe that fear of being disliked,
Mhm.
so you don't try, right? I don't know if any of you felt that this weekend. Ooh, what if I talk to the casting director and she doesn't like me? Or what if I talk to when you get all that anxiety, right? Or maybe being misunderstood, so you don't try, right? But you have to know that if being liked and misunderstood is more important than succeeding, you won't achieve your goals. And I loved that you found that way. You were like, no, what's more important to me this weekend is to achieve my goals, right? And you went up and you spoke to those peoples and you made those people, and you made connect, right? And like you said, now you and Monica are like besties, right? That's incredible. It's so, so important. It
Yeah,
really,
I mean, you find out that all of the people who are in those positions of power and are quite successful themselves are just like yous and me's,
mm,
right? They're there and they were so gracious and welcoming and everybody and right, they kept reminding Donna-Marie and I tell them that we want them to come talk to us.
yeah.
It was just really, really good. There's something I want to get to a few other things in the lesson today that we've worked on. So I'd like to kind of
Yeah, we're
skip
going
ahead.
over, I know.
Yeah, we are. Um, your brain, your brain is protecting you when you're in fear. It's a really good mechanism to keep you from falling off high places and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But you can talk to your brain. So that's your instinct kind of brain coming in saying, "Oh no, this is scary." But you can have a talk to your brain as the adult in the room and say, "Somewhat scary, not falling off a cliff." And
Yeah.
then talk your way through it. This is what successful people do when doubt creeps in, and it's how to perform anyway, right? And you all have that because you all submit those of you who are in Audition Plus submit your auditions. Scary
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it could, you
Yeah.
know, it could. So you just have a little discussion and go for it. And you're all working on the victim archetype right now, which means you're staring down the character that feels powerless, stuck, brushed by life, that kind of thing. That's what fear does to you if you don't say, I don't know how, I'm not ready, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That way, someone else doesn't get to choose your future.
Yeah. You do, right?
Yeah,
You,
absolutely. Fear loves the scary voice because it eats fear. It's like, yum, 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 yum. I want
yeah,
more
it
of that.
eats it for breakfast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the deal, right? So the best victim performances come from actors who aren't victims in their own careers. Okay. You've got to understand powerlessness without living in it. So we're going to talk a bit about how to break out of that kind of like emotional quickstand and take your darn power back, because your character may be stuck, but you're not. And I saw a lot of that this weekend with all of you, and I was super proud of it.
It
Yeah.
was beautiful. It was
Courage.
beautiful because we weren't asking you to do easy things.
No.
You had to bare your soul, cry a lot, meet people who could be influential in your own career, and everybody did really well. You've got
Yeah.
to understand your fear without letting it run the show. You have to act anyway, especially under pressure, and you have to reset, which is what Virginia did
Mhm.
when fear tries to sabotage your performance. And I guess, Daniel, you did the same thing. You went outside. I mean, going outside and getting a little breath of air, it's a really smart thing to reset.
100%. I completely agree, right? So I'm gonna I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you guys, and I know we're getting short on time, but
Mhm.
we haven't even introduced ourselves,
Oh my
Casey.
God.
That are new here. I think we should probably do that quickly, and then I'm
Yes, absolutely. I am KC. I'm your acting and audition coach. I live on a little farm in the woods, in a little cabin. I live with 100 chickens, not in the house. They have their own house. 3 cats, 2 dogs, and assorted humans. And I love living where I love to live and doing what I love to do, which is coach actors to success.
yeah, and I'm Donna-Marie. I'm your mindset and visualization coach here at Screen Acting School. I live in the big city because, well, I love action, people watching, really great coffee, and helping actors believe in themselves so much that casting starts to believe too. So we coach actors who walk the red carpets for the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the Emmys. They book life-changing roles in the #1 shows in the world. So we come with receipts, and now we're here for you too. So I want to ask a few questions to the group. And you can type in the chat, but have you ever been up for something huge and thought suddenly, maybe, I don't deserve this? So go ahead and type that in. Or maybe have you ever ghosted an
Yes.
opportunity because it felt safer not to try? If I don't do it, then if I do it and I don't get it, then everyone will know I failed. So maybe it's better if I just don't try.
Yes. Have they
Becca
made a
says,
mistake?
Becca says I've been doing that without realizing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. Everyone's saying, yeah, I don't handle compliments well, Richard says. Yeah. Beth says I felt the duality of really wanting it and also worrying about if I got it. Yeah. And Linda says, yep, lots of don't try, don't bother. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dave says I had a severe case of imposter syndrome at one time. And
Yeah.
Kim says it took me a while to realize when I was actually self-sabotaging myself. It does. Sometimes we don't realize that. Absolutely. And I
As
think,
you become more and more conscious of the difference between you and your thoughts, then you start to be able to, have a little conversation with yourself about those thoughts.
yeah. And we've already touched on, and I think everyone's kind of agreed about having that fear, that worry that success will change how others treat you in some way,
Mm.
shape, or form, right? And all of these fears are real. And what I want you to know, guys, is that they're common. Okay, you're not the only ones going through this. The way Virginia had a fear and Daniel said, yeah, that's me too. They're common, okay? They're real. Rupert Grint, Sharon Stone, George Clooney, Emma Watson, and so many other actors have all spoken about this, right? Brian says, yes, I don't know about deserving, but for sure the level of self-doubt over worthiness. Oh, right, that's the same thing. So exactly, right, Brian? Exactly. 100%. So it's so important to be mindful of this, okay? So let's talk about what happens in your brain when you get nervous before an audition. Maybe you get that little voice inside that tries to keep you safe, right? It says, don't mess this up. They won't cast you. You're not ready. You know what? You're going to be humiliated. And that voice feels like truth, but it's just panic in disguise. It's the old wiring. It's the survival mode. And it's not meant for auditions, you guys. It's meant for saber-toothed tigers, okay? That's what it's there for. And the more you listen to it, the louder it gets. But here's the deal. And Beth, I see your hand up. I'm going to come to you in just a second. You can change your thoughts. You do not have to obey the panic, okay? You can train your brain to calm down and get present, just like Virginia did this weekend. It's so, so important. Beth, you have your hand up. Go ahead. I'd love to hear from you.
So recently, I had in office hours. I was asking about an audition that they were asking for me to do it outside, and I had this big
Oh yeah.
panic about how I was going to make that work. Virginia got to see it. I showed it to her, but I was all worried about doing it wrong or making the wrong choices, and and the whole thing just started to kind of paralyze me. And so then I decided I'm just gonna go out and do it. And I walked around with my tripod and I got like action shots of me like walking in the woods and like going to a body
So
of
good.
and I built a story with it. And I ended up feeling so good after.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You confronted that, right? You confronted
Yeah.
that fear and you did it anyways. And darn, does it feel good. You're right.
And
It
I'm
feels
so
good.
proud of you. And I know Donna-Marie is too, because that takes guts. That's a lot of chutzpah.
It does. It does. 100%. And I get that. Like, so I'll give you an example in my own life. So, as most of you know, I don't do social media in my personal life. I use Facebook for work and, that sort of thing. But sometimes I have to go out and I have to record myself doing something or make a live and I'm out in public. And that feels so weird to me. Like, I'm like, like what you said, all these people are looking at me. I've got my phone and I know people do this on a daily basis. Like, it's not even really that weird, but it feels weird for me. But then when you do it, you're like, yeah, I did that. I feel good, right? You confront that fear. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Beth. Yeah, and you can tell your brain, thank you for trying to protect me, but like I got this now. You know what? I've got a plan. This is where I'm going, and it does feel good afterwards. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Brian's saying, would you say that you first have to recognize and admit the fear to start, and then you have to make the choice? Yes. And people who start by saying, I'm not afraid of anything, or start describing fear and not connecting to fear, not saying, this is fear, instead of having this intellectual thing about fear or getting some like funny catchphrase about fear, they are just bullshitting themselves. You have to say, this is scary. This is a scary thing. No catchphrases, off to dive into the scary thing. Because all those catchphrases and those descriptions and that I know what fear is, all that is you intellectualizing yourself into staying in fear.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like it.
And our actors jumped in this weekend into fear, right? In this emotional connection workshop, Casey.
They were amazing.
They really, really were, right? They worked with fear and courage.
Yeah, like in day one, everybody was diving really. So we had the workshop divided into two parts. One was diving into the fear that the characters feel, the pain that the characters feel, and they learned about being able to create under those circumstances, the given circumstances, and letting those emotions fuel the performance. And then in day two, they learned about the creator archetype and how they create this magical world that they have of, it just creates true confidence. And that doesn't mean your fear doesn't exist. It does. It's all over the place. But you have the confidence to get through it. And then they went and rubbed shoulders with everybody. And like Virginia
And they
said,
were stars, every
they,
single one
yeah,
of
they
them.
were absolute stars. I agree. Yeah. No one let nerves get in the way. And that was just wonderful to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael says I bawled in the workshop. Yeah, everyone did, Michael. Yeah.
There
And
was a lot of crying.
funny because I'm like, people pay us to make them cry.
That's the job.
Normies don't want to cry, right? But
No.
in our line of business, that's the jam, right? So absolutely, and you guys, you did all of that and then rub shoulders with an exec, a producer, an agent, a casting director. It was so, so phenomenal. Kara, I see you have your hand up. I'd love to hear from you. And sorry, we're going over a little bit today, guys.
You know how you were talking about when you go out and you feel like all weird and awkward in public? I was actually just telling some people about my experience because, like, you guys know, I've done modeling. So I've been out sometimes in like crazy outfits, like,
Mhm.
or ball gowns in the middle of like Grand Central Station in New York. Like, and it's weird because when I'm in that person who's dressed up like this with like the team all there, you feel like you like, oh, there's a team here that I belong. And like, but if I was just going to go out in like a ball gown on the street, I'd be like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me like, what's this weirdo doing in this like ball gown all by herself? So
Yeah.
it's also like a weird situational thing where like I could do the exact same thing or some crazy outfit, but when you feel like you belong, and then you realize that that's just a switch in your head of what
Just
you're
a switch
doing,
in
and
your
like,
head.
you know, one little thing, oh, the presence of other people that are like supposed to be taking pictures of me, like that shouldn't have to change the fact that you feel like a weirdo or not feel like a weirdo in the exact same crazy outfit.
But
So,
it does, because we all need a sense of communities. There's absolutely nothing wrong with feeling like a weirdo when you look like a weirdo, when you're out in public and you're differentiating yourself from everyone else. When you have your tribe around you, you feel good. And it
Mhm.
does take a little bit of mental gymnastics to do the switch in your mind. And to think, you I should be able to do this is just, that's so hard on yourself. When you
Mhm.
can just say, oh, my tribe's not here, but it's okay, I'll I'll go do it anyway.
Yeah.
I'll walk home in the ball gown, and what the fuck, I'll own this. But you gotta, that's the thing about fear that we're saying, is that you got to be kind to yourself. That fear is protecting you, because someone might throw an egg at you because you're wearing a ball gown in the middle of the day. Let's like real, I mean, it's not going to happen, but it could. So
Yeah.
it's real fear.
Yeah. And I love that Casey said being kind to yourself,
Yeah,
but also having that plan, right? This is what I really want to have you all leave with today from my perspective, okay? You don't need permission. What you do need is a plan. Virginia came up with a plan. Daniel came up with a plan. I'm sure there was many more of you that came up with a plan, because these fears are going to pop up in life. It doesn't matter what level you get to. I don't care if you're Zendaya or I can't think of anyone else famous off the top of my head, but I don't care who you are. There are moments where fear creeps in, whether that be the fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of this room, the fear of whatever that is. Have a plan. Have a plan, right? It's so, so important, you guys.
mhm,
So that's what I really, really want to leave you with today. And it's important not only for your everyday life, it's so important, but it's important for your career, right? Because as I say, and I say this a lot, and I'm gonna say it again, if you're not leading your career, then who is, right? We can't sit here and hope and wish and wait, right? You don't have a fairy godmother. You have me and Casey. We're kind of like fairy godmothers, right? We'll tell you the truth. We'll be honest. We don't have a magic wand per se, but maybe kind of. But it's made of expertise in mindset, visualization, acting, and auditioning. So let's create a plan.
absolutely. And this way of thinking has got our students from no bookings at all to walking the red carpets at the Oscars, the BAFTAs, the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Auras, the Leos, Geminis, and even #1 shows in the world. And at the workshop, a number of Audition Plus actors asked us to push them, to go hard on them. I think that's because we talked about, Kara had asked us that about a year ago, and then she started booking a lot. And I mentioned it a little while ago. So if you want us to, we will. Absolutely. If you want to book life-changing roles, you've got to be fearless.
Mhm.
Feel the fear and then do it. And like Tom
Right.
Cruise was saying, yes, I saw somebody posted the thing about Tom Cruise, and I just love that. Yes, I'm scared. Of course I'm scared. I'm going to do it anyway.
Mhm.
Audition Plus isn't magic entirely, but the more of your magic you bring to it with our system,
Yeah.
the more it's going to be doing its magic. Just the repetition of it will. So you've learned 3 things today. You learned to understand your fear without letting it run the show, how to act anyway, especially under pressure, and how to reset fear when it comes to sabotage your performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kara said, we know that we have you to believe in us, so it makes it easier to believe in ourselves. And Kara, that just touched my heart. That is our goal, right? So thank you. I'm so happy that you feel that way because we do believe in each and every one of you. And Beth is saying 100%. Absolutely, you guys. So I know we've gone a little over. I'm gonna wrap it up. I know it's been a long weekend for a lot of you. You're just getting home. It's been busy, right? You've all done an incredible job. We are so proud of each and every single one of you. For those here that are new to us, I'm going to pop in the link if you would like to be a part of this incredible community and join Audition Plus. We would love to have you. I will pop that in. Please do know that when you apply, this is not first come, first serve. We're only interested in working with actors who are committed and passionate about moving their craft and their career forward. So
And
if
you have to be a good person, no exceptions. Let us know your goals and that you are willing to do the work on your application.
Yeah. So I'm popping that link in for you if you would like to be a part of this incredible community and everything that it has to offer. We would love to hear from you. And here is the beautiful truth if you choose to accept it. As I always say, you are only one audition away from a life-changing role. And actually, I want to touch on that a little bit because we had an incredible agent, Diane, speaking to you all this weekend. And what she said was, keep going. She's working with a young woman who she says is an incredible actor and has been auditioning for, I think she said 6 or 7 years, never booked a thing. And she just booked as a co-star in a series, I believe Diane said. Uh, Incredible, 6 or 7 years, but she kept going. She was persistent and she's just booked her life-changing role, right? Co-star in a series. So it's really, really incredible. You guys can do that too. So
Yeah,
let's make sure that
exactly.
everyone in that room remembers you. I'm going to pop that application link in once again. And then I'm going to say, I think, Casey, that is a wrap for us. What do you think?
I think that's it. Yes, love to you too.
Yes, all the love. Thank you so much, everyone. If you want that link, copy it now because I'm about to end this live
Oh,
and
thank
we'll
you,
see
Kara.
you on screen.